Okay, awesome. Welcome everyone. So we're just going to do a quick rundown of what we could do with actually data just lying down around on the internet, right? This is very useful if you are looking at product mapping, if you're looking at how you can improve your product and services. And we're looking at Econet today. Some of these tweets that came up in December, right? And before we go really any further, you might be wondering, okay, what could you do with just people chatting on the Twitter on Twitter? But it's very useful when you come up with this kind of data because you can determine exactly what kind of devices that people are using, right? Which is one of the things that we did right over here. You can see that Twitter is one of the, I mean, rather Android is one of those devices that most of the customers are using, right? Followed by iPhone, and then we also get other customers reaching out to us using the Twitter web app. So we could look at this and see, okay, is it an issue of them using the web app is in their phone browser, or is it that they're accessing the Twitter from their laptop, or maybe they're at work, which is also very useful, when you're doing product mapping and that kind of stuff. What kind of device are we using if you're doing targeted marketing as well? So all of this information is just right there on Twitter, right? So you can also tell exactly where the person is located, tweeting from that location, and this is very handy, especially when you're getting grievances from customers. For example, here are the grieved customers, right? The most grieved customers, how do we classify them? These are the people with the most tweets that are in public, right? Because the process is, if a customer sends out a query on our page, right? The customer service representative's goal is to kind of pull them on the side and talk to them privately, like in their DM. So if this person keeps coming back, like bringing the dirty laundry up in public, then it kind of it draws our eyes, like, okay, why is it that talking off? And the more they do that, then the bigger their grievance or query is. So I know that there's a follow up service that Econet has, that if you get assisted on some sort of a query, then they give you a call to just check, hey, how was the service that you got? How would you rate the customer representative? And you say this whole a bunch of stuff, but it's kind of random. With this kind of data, it won't be random anymore because we list the customers according to their grievances, right? The ones we were shouting the loudest, we go to them and say, hey, we noticed you had a very huge concern, right? How would you tell us how your service, what went through? How would you rate the customer representative to help you get through your travel? And how would you advise us to improve? Okay, where is the grievance at? So those are the people we target when we do those calls. And like, I don't want to lie to you, I don't think doing it randomly is really as handy, because that, if you ever receive one of those calls, you actually understand what I'm talking of. It's it's pretty much, as I say, 100% random. And the person, once they call you, sometimes they don't even remember that they called you and call you back again, which is really. I'm lack of the word. I have the word, but I don't think it would be very polite for me to use it. So I'm just gonna skip it. But I think you get the point. With this data, it helps us see should we consider most, right? And one of the things that we can look at is, what is it that they're saying? Because with all those tweets, you can bundle them up together and see, okay, what are the subjects that our customers tweeting us about, right? And here's what I tried to do, okay, from the sample that I put out in December. Economic support was one of those leading words, which makes sense because that these tweets are coming back to this handle, so they want to quote the handler or the person who's the recipient right at the top. So economic support comes to the top, but as we look further through those words, we see to the IU coming up as some of the most frequent words, but we're not really interested in all the WGB that inside those queries. What could be very of interest to us are issues like data, the bundles, network, airtime, and bold number services. These are some of the words that are also part of these queries that we see. And what I did is I came up with a dictionary and I added together. If you notice, there's bundle and there's bundles, which is pretty much one subject. So if you add the two together, you get 107, which is what we work with eventually, right? And we come up with a pie, which is somewhat descriptive, right? These are equal to December twist top grievances, and you see 22% right here is in network, right? And then followed by bundle, which takes 20%. We have other issues that has to do with data, number, airtime, board, and services. You see that our services are also coming up in there. So this is not really exhaustive. We really can't tell what is it about the network, what is it about the bundle, but it's a good step, right? So we want to focus on our network. Let's look at those people who I mean, all those tweets that the word network in them. See who tweeted those, where are they located, what exactly were they talking of, and then we can target those areas so that because this is really a huge amount, almost 25% of the queries has to do with network and bundle. So you see, that's almost taken around 40%. So it's a concern, right? If you're really keen on developing our products and customer service, and those are areas that we can probably start looking at right away. Um, I know Econet sometimes takes its consumers for granted, by the way. But yeah, we really definitely need to, this is a good starting point. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, and after that, the last thing that we're going to look at, I'm just going to come to the Econet side. These are the tweets that the Econet service desk, sent to other people, right? I'm going to give you an example right here, where it says, actually, I can do a live example, I think, probably, to just for fun. You can tell, I'm going to pull up this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to change the number to any random number. I can just go, let's say, 92, fine. Okay, so here you see this is an Econet customer service representative responding to this person, and you see the language is very polite. I like that about the guys. Sincerely apologize. I want to give you a comparison. I don't know if we should do this, but we're just going to do one. Okay, just check at this one here at the top. It's been becoming impossible to defeat the boomer. Your turnaround time, the language is really not that happy. Yeah, but here we see, we apologize. Let's just pull another random one again. But I'm just gonna let's put 483. Okay, that's for fun. Okay, thank you for getting that. Okay, that's a thank you message. Let's put a 4 right over there. We stuck. Okay, it's kind of pulling it up, but anyway, you get the point. What we're getting is our tweets from here. I'm getting an exception. I'm going to come back to that later on. But what we're getting is tweets from Econet service representatives. So at the end, we can tell who wrote that tweet, right? Like what you see here, right over here. We can check the names. So that's what we're doing, and then we're following through with all of that. Initially, we started with 84. But some of them were not really good names, as you can tell over here. Some of these are not really good names. So we kind of ended up needing to clean them up. I think that's what this code is doing. In the end, I'm coming up with these names. But as you can tell, there's also a bit of duplicate over here, where we see this is HM, which is one of the operators or customer representatives, right? And his name is bundled up with these other statements. So after cleaning them up, we can actually pick up his name by itself, which is very good, which helps us to work through with names of the operators separately. And we kind of do this bunch. I'm just going to skip up because it's all about cleaning up. In the end, you notice that all these text or tweets were coming from Econet support. And one of the other things that you'll notice is that the dates were rather strings and not date timestamps, which also made it difficult for us to kind of work through. So we had to convert them into timestamps, as you see here. And in the end, we're not after who sent it, because we know they're all coming from the same handle, and we're not after what they were talking of. We're after who and what time they were. All right. So here we see HM, because I think he was the guy who was running the show on the 31st of December, right? So that was towards the New Year's Eve, right? He was running the show on the dial. Okay, kudos to you, HM. Him or her, I think he was doing a wonderful job there. Okay, but what we can do for the whole of December, we can actually classify and see which one of our customer service representatives did most of the work, right? Which is very interesting. And we see PDK coming up, and we also see MC coming up. I think I know MC. There's WYC, HM. We saw HM just up a little bit, and the whole lot of other guys. If you see your name over here, your initials over here, and then Econet service representatives, kudos to you. I think you are one of those leading guys in December, and this really helps us, see which one of our representatives are doing the work as they're supposed to. Right? If your name is not up there and you're one of them, I think you can look it up down over here. We did a little bit more of the list. Okay, PTK again at the top MC, followed by a whole bunch of other guys which we didn't mention in our top 10. Of interest to us are these guys at the end here, because you see they didn't really do much. Some of them were using small letters, others were using capital letters. Maybe they were trainees, we don't really know. But if they're full-time employees, we need to look at them like, hey guys, you have a combined of tweets of less than 10. What's going on? All right. So this also helps us look into that as well. Okay. In the end, this is what we have: number of tweets per hour, 0 is midnight, and then the rest of the time is coming down all over here is 11, right? So 0, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 5 a.m. And you see there's a blank over on these pages right there. I want you to see on the customer side, right? I think we did much of this part. Okay, here we go. I want you to compare these two together. You will notice that much of activities reports come through right at 6 a.m. right? Somebody wakes up 7 a.m. right? Somebody wakes up, something is not going on, and it kind of goes steady all the way up until 3 p.m. and afterward it kind of slows down. But even after 8, we're still getting other tweets coming through. Even all the way through the night, we're still getting tweets coming through. And this is very telling because remember, we also have people using that night bundle on Econet, right? So we could have people, sending up requests. But here on the Econet side, it's empty. It kind of dies down soon after 9 p.m. There's some tweets right here, I think, but they're very few. So, this is something that we could look at. Okay, could we increase other people working through the night? But on the positive side, though, if you try coding during the night, I think you get quicker response sooner than you would get if you tweet. So it's not like a black page altogether. I think they actually respond better than other MNOs in Zimbabwe, by the way. So I give them credit for that. But again, also remember, Twitter is not the only platform where they're handling customer queries. They have WhatsApp, they have other self-service stuff and calls as well. I think that's what every MNO is doing as well. But this is telling from what we have over here. Actually, there's a graph that I made, which is the last thing that I'm going to show you, which you combine both the two together. It's a very straightforward graph. You can zoom in if you like. And you see the blue stuff are what our customers tweeted, and the red stuff are what our employers tweeted. Right? If we look at it, like we were saying, customer service representatives come to life at 5 a.m. and they do much of their tweeting all the way up until lunchtime, right? Somewhere around here, 13 hours. And it kind of dies down after lunch, okay? As soon as they eat, oh, they're sleepy. Okay, just a bit joke. But anyway, you see the point. Afterward, it kind of matches the number of the tweets that the customers will be sending. So I'm assuming that they will be responding to the tweets of the customers and sending notifications, updates on products and everything else during this batch of the day. But after 8, blue bars are standing by themselves. So these are customers without a representative responding to them. So we start seeing blue bars and red bars after 3 a.m. So 3 a.m., 4 a.m., that's where we start seeing the the Econet guys coming to life. So again, like we were saying earlier, probably we could look into this because there are people who are using our services during the night, and some of them are on night bundle. You don't want people coming up on your Twitter page saying, "Hey, my night bundle wasn't working last night, and it's 5 a.m." That's pointless. So okay, we just did a quick touch view of what we could do with data that's lying freely on Twitter. Right? Anyone can get access to this data without much trouble. Well, with a little bit of trouble, of course. But if you're clever enough, I think I mean, if you are Econet yourself, it shouldn't be difficult to get these tweeted. And you can actually build a system which is an in-house, not to be posted up on the platforms like public platforms. Of course, on public platforms we can do it as a hobby, like I'm doing right now, which also kind of put up the issue of the word would be when somebody does something and somebody comes and look after and check the work. That's what's the word? Accountability. Yeah, accountability. Yeah. If for accountability's sake you could come up with a system like that, it could be an in-house thing or it could be a public thing if it's a hobby, but an in-house thing could be more. You could start looking at those tweets that are in the DM, because much of the work that these guys do is actually in the DM. They're trying to pull you to work privately. So in-house, you look at those and analyze them, see who responded the most, what were the queries, what was their language. You can actually sweep through, like, okay, which F words were used, how did they respond to that, how polite were they, and so forth. That was also really help. And the other thing that I think we could improve is, if we were doing it again next month, is probably instead of using a PDF like we used here, we could use a web app. The beauty of a web app is everything is highly interactive, right? You can see here, I can do all of these and it responds instantly. I can come up over here as well, and you see it can also really respond right on the dot. So putting up on a PDF is not really a good idea. But for starters, I think we kind of did a wonderful job. So we should give ourselves a pat on the back. If you carry on this project, something similar, tell me how we could improve this, because I think it's really fun. and we can work together on the next one as well. Put up another other stuff. If you notice, I used much of my okay, I was going to get into how I came up with some of the stuff, but I don't think it's really important for the general public. But if you're working on something like this, we can work together, and then I can tell you some of the libraries that I thought were really useful coming up with it and everything like that. But overall, I think we kind of did a wonderful job, and we had a really fun time. Kept putting these guys on the spotlight. Kudos to those who made it up onto the top 10. I think you guys are doing a wonderful job. But this data is always telling, numbers don't lie. So yeah, you gotta keep working. And if you're trying to manipulate this by sending more tweets, I want to just mention that quickly. There's a way that you can actually see if this is a retweet or not, or if somebody was responding to a tweet or not. So we can actually phase out all the noise. No one can manipulate this data and start appearing like they're working very hard, sending many tweets when they're actually just going around. We can figure that out and remove that noise. And if we figure out your name, we'll come to you and throw you the garbage onto your face as well. Okay, so adios, amigo, amigas. Adios, amigo y amigas. Cuídate. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself and take care of your loved one. Okay, bye.